The parents of the sisters finally found peace. John and Mary Lyon thanked both the Maryland and Virginia police after Lloyd Welch Jr. pleaded guilty to 2 counts of felony murder. They commented that the police treated the case as if they were investigating it for their daughters. While the remains of the Lyon sisters were never recovered, investigators believe that the Welch property in Virginia holds evidence that supports Welch's story. If not for detectives noticing the similarity between a police sketch in the Lyon sisters' case file and a mugshot of Lloyd Welch Jr., it's possible that the pedophile would someday again walk the street, and that Elizabeth and Sheila wouldn't have found justice. Lloyd Welch Jr. pled guilty to 2 other child sexual assault cases as part of his plea bargain in the Lyon sisters' case. The now 60-year-old pedophile and ex-Carney pleaded guilty on September 21, 2017, to 2 other cold cases from Prince William County, VA. Lloyd Welch Jr. admitted that in 1996 he sexually assaulted a 6-year-old girl on a houseboat, well as another girl as young as 8 years old. Police learned about these assaults after visiting Welch in jail to investigate the Lyon sisters' case. Welch received a 12-year sentence for the 1996 assaults, and under the plea agreement with authorities, the 12-year sentences run concurrent to his 48-year sentence from the Lyons case. Welch Jr. finally pled guilty to the 1975 murder of the Lyon sisters. After 42 years, one of the D.C. metro area's most high-profile cold cases came close to a resolution. On September 12, 2017, Lloyd Welch Jr. pleaded guilty to kidnapping and murdering the Lyon sisters. While many questions surrounding the abduction and deaths of the girls remain, detectives have no choice but to rely upon Lloyd Welch Jr.'s story, and at least one responsible party was finally held accountable for the gruesome disappearance of the 10 and 12-year-old sisters. Welch received a 48-year prison sentence for his involvement. Despite Welch Jr.'s insistence, Richard Welch dropped as person of interest. Despite testimony from Welch Jr., prosecutors were unable to charge Richard Welch. Investigators stated that they lacked any evidence beyond Welch Jr.'s story that linked Richard Welch to the kidnapping, rape, or murders of Katherine and Sheila Lyon. Investigators did note, however, that while Welch Jr.'s story seemed to change regularly, with different people entering and exiting the account, Richard Welch was always a constant. Police believed that Welch Jr. may have been trying to help lead them to Richard Welch, but they were unable to connect him to any evidence. The Pederast Carney recounts the rape and murder of the Lyon sisters, but feels no remorse. In his confession to police, Welch Jr. explained the gruesome details of Katherine and Sheila's abduction, rape, and eventual murder. While he denies raping either girl, he recounts that did happen. Additionally, Welch Jr. told investigators that shortly after the kidnapping, he remembers taking the girls into a dungeon-like basement. In the cellar, he witnessed his father and uncle, Richard Welch, dismember one of the sisters. Welch Jr. then explained that the dismembered remains were stuffed in a large bag and taken to Bedford County, VA, to be burned. In his conversations with police, Welch Jr. stated, "I know I should be worried about the girls. the family putting it to rest, and stuff like that. But you also got to look at it, I'm a survivor. I've lived on the street. And like I told you, I've also got to think of me. What's going to happen to me? The sex offender and Carnival worker admitted to police that he left the shopping mall in Kensington, ND, with the Lyon sisters. In 2015, investigators began questioning Welch Jr. again, and he finally admitted to police that he left the shopping mall with both sisters on that day. However, Welch Jr. denied being involved in the rape or killing of either girl, and identified his uncle Richard Welch, who would have been 70 years old in 2015, of raping and killing both girls. When Welch Jr. was charged with the murders in 2015, he was already serving a sentence for sexually assaulting a minor female in South Carolina. And while detectives believe that Richard Welch likely played a role and possibly even attacked the sisters, they were unable to charge him. Nonetheless, Virginia police helped conduct a lengthy search of the Welch property, which was 200 miles away from Kensington, MD, in Bedford County, VA, hoping to find any physical evidence. Police discovered a new suspect thanks to an old mugshot and an old sketch. Police discovered a new suspect thanks to an old mugshot and an old sketch. Detectives reopened the case and acted like the sisters had just gone missing. A massive search ensued, but no charges were brought for almost 40 years. A massive search ensued, but no charges were brought for almost 40 years. Katherine and Sheila Lyon were abducted, raped, and murdered 5 days before Easter in 1975.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video then. Take care. Bye.